Alright, hey guys, Joey here. Today we're going to go over the new 10.4 patch notes. The patch will probably release a day after this video is live. So we'll just jump right into it. A lot of champions are getting buffed, and not so much are getting nerfed on this patch. The champions that are getting nerfed definitely deserve it. Aphelios, Sona, and Soraka. Kind of annoying nerfs for the two support champions, and the Aphelios nerf is like, it's okay, but I don't think it'll get him as a champion. Some champions are getting some really nice buffs, like Amumu looks like a pretty nice buff. The Lux buff looks pretty cool. The Jace buff looks pretty strong for him. So let's get into it. So first off, we have Amumu. And now when you use your Bandage Toss, which is your Q ability, you'll just move at them a lot faster, which is pretty nice because it just makes your play happen a lot more, less time for the enemy to react. Because before this, Amumu's kit is like pretty clunky and like slow moving. So with this, it'll be pretty fast. This is basically what old Rakan W speed was, so you can imagine that. His ult cooldown is getting reduced by 20 seconds basically at all ranks, and then 10 seconds off of his level 16 ult. And the big thing about this is now it stops enemies in the middle of their dashes, which is going to allow Mumu to lock onto champions a lot easier. Which overall, it's a pretty nice like quality of life buff to Mumu. No damage changes, but definitely a nice one to have. So this is like something that should have been on release for Aphelios, is you can now see both guns he's holding next to his health bar, which is very nice. You'll actually be able to understand what the champion does, hopefully, although probably most people still won't, but that's nice. The fact that he no longer can auto reset with his sniper rifle Calibrum is going to be a lot better for laning against him. He won't be able to just take short trades that are just like feel like you're getting cheated, because he's getting two autos in for all of your one auto, as well as just outranging you. They're nerfing his towers, which feels really great because his towers are definitely one of the more impressive parts of his kit. Like, why does this guy just become Heimerdinger and one-shot my entire team? It doesn't really make too much sense, or you can't really fight him inside of it. So, it's easier to see when affiliate sentries are active. The amount of sentries you get is a lot lower. Ranged attacks now do a little bit more damage, as well as AoEs do more damage to the sentries, so they'll be easier to kill, which is nice. But they're not bugged anymore, which kind of sucks. His ult is getting a little bit less range, which is kind of nice. I mean, the ult's range was insane to begin with, so it's good that they're doing that. Aurelion Sol nerf. This one kind of took me by surprise. I don't really see much Aurelion Sol in high elo at all. Nor did the champion really feel strong at all, so kind of a weird one. Basically, his W is doing 10% less damage on the increased total damage that you get from it, but not really like a big change to Aurelion Sol. I guess they're just trying to keep his win rate in check, but I haven't really seen too much of him, so a bit surprising for me. Caitlyn's getting bonus attack speed at level 1. Wow. I'm sure Saber's happy about this, but like, who really cares to see Caitlyn in their League of Legends games? Not really a big buff, not really going to push her into the meta, but she'll be slightly more playable, I guess. Garen's receiving some pretty nice buffs, I guess. His Q is going to be doing a little bit more damage. The AD ratio is going up by a small margin, but you actually build AD on Garen now rather than just like a tank build, so this actually matters. And then his shield is getting a little bit stronger. It's changing from 0.1 max health to a base ratio as well as bonus health, so it'll be stronger probably at lower levels, and just yeah, overall decent for him. Some quality of life buffs for Gnar as well. He's getting his movement speed increased, and then his passive. So when he's in mini form, he will be the same speed he always was, but now when he's in his mega form, he'll be a little bit faster by 10 movement speed, which isn't too much. And his ult is actually going to become a pretty strong ability. They're making it do a lot more AD ratio and a lot more EP ratio. Fair enough, Gnar really doesn't have a lot of AP items that he builds, ever, that I can think of. I don't think you really get any ability power unless you have like Baron or something. But his ult will do a little bit more damage, which I guess is nice. The quality of life for Big Gnar being a little bit faster is nice. This Jace buff is also a pretty nice quality of life one. He's getting more base mana, as well as more mana growth to his just base stats in general, as well as a little bit more Q damage. He's getting about 10 damage at each rank, and then a total of 35 at max rank. So 10, 15, 20 extra on each ranks, which is nice. I mean, Jace is going to do a lot more damage. Jace already does a lot of damage in my opinion, but he's just not really seen too much in the meta. So I wouldn't be too surprised if people started just picking Jace up. Some buffs aren't really like insane buffs, but they make the champion meta because people just remember that this champion is strong. And I think this might be something that happens to Jace because I don't know, it just makes sense to me. I feel like Jace is fairly decent of a champion, especially in solo queue, but like people have just forgotten about him. So just getting a nice little quality of life buff will have people start playing him again and probably say, oh, this champion feels good, so they'll probably keep playing him rather than like this actually being like a real buff. Because that happens a lot with champions where just buffing them a little bit reminds people that this champion's good and it gets played again. Lux is getting some changes to her Q. Its cooldown's going down a little bit at early ranks, as well as she's getting more damage on the base damage of it at early ranks. It's only 10 overall, but she's losing some scaling on it, which kind of sucks. So she'll just be a little bit stronger early with her Q, because you don't really put points into Q ever as Lux. So 2 seconds off the cooldown level 1 is actually a pretty nice buff. Something that's pretty cool though is they're making it so you can have flash while you're casting your ultimate. I hope this works like Ezreal ult flash and not like something like set flash W where you can just reposition it. Because I think if you can just R flash reposition your ult as Lux, that just seems insanely broken. But I'm assuming this is like the ult is placed and then you flash away while channeling it, kind of like Ezreal ult flash, which is actually cool. Like this will add a little bit more outplay for Lux. But if they do it the other way, I think it'll be a little broken, to be honest with you. But nice little buff for Lux. Rammus is just getting like the most fucking minor joke speed or joke of a buff we've ever seen, I guess. I don't know. Like really not too much. Just attack speed, base attack speed, and attack speed ratio are going up very marginally. It'll help his clear speed a decent amount actually, but overall champion strength isn't really going up too much. The fact that his clear is going up, I guess, is nice. Singed is getting a small nerf. To me, this one kind of stood out as like a random. I don't know why they're doing this because nobody really plays Singe. But I mean, Riot has better like info than we do, and maybe they just feel Singe is just a little too tanky. So they're making him a little bit easier to kill in lane for melee champions. They're taking a bit off his armor, three armor off level 1 as well as 30 HP level 1. So he'll be a little bit squishier, a little bit more abusable. Maybe Sin's just tearing it up at low elos, so this will help you guys out. So here's one of the bigger changes in this patch because Sona top, Sona AD carry, Sona support has just been rampaging high elos, low elo everywhere. So it's good to see this. I mean, this is mostly trying to affect her solo lane. So what they're doing is they're increasing every ability's mana cost by 25. Every level, it's up 25. But if the aura grants like the buff to an ally, she returns 30 mana. So in bot lane, it's kind of a buff, kind of a nerf at the same time, because you're getting 5 mana back at every ability, basically, or like 5 less cost on your abilities, which is like a little nice. And then in solo lane, the mana costs are too high to be played now for sure. So she'll just be solely a support at this point. Something that's kind of annoying about this is that they added this onto the E, and E is probably the only ability you use as Sona where you're not always applying it to your allies, because it's something you just spam while you're moving throughout the map, and you don't always have an ally there. So this going from 65 to 90 mana is actually quite big, and I think it might start changing how you have to build the champion. Might have to start going into a tier build rather than, let's say, right now a lot of people are doing Athene's Rush or the Dark Harvest Luden's Rush. You might actually have to start building more mana based because of the E change, or you just won't be able to use your E and move around the map as much, which is fine, I guess. So Soraka nerfs are pretty big in my opinion for both support and for like top lane Soraka, solo lane Soraka, AD carry Soraka. I mean, I'm completely fine with this. I feel like champions like Soraka and Sona and solo lanes are just so unhealthy for the game that it's good to see them do something like this, like so fast, I guess. What I like to have seen them do is maybe change the Q damage to minions. That way she has less wave clear. Kind of like how they nerfed Pyke, where they removed the AoE on his Q and E. But they decided to go a different route this time. First of all, they changed her base stats a little bit. She now has higher base health, but a lower base health growth ratio. So she's getting 4 less health per level, and starting with like 5 extra health. So overall, she'll be squishier. She's starting with more mana, but losing mana growth. Overall, will have less mana out for like level like 4 or something. So yeah, and then 0.04 damage off of her AD. We'll just round out the numbers, I'm assuming. So let's talk about what they actually nerfed to her kit. So they're changing her Q self healing by quite a bit. Um, Instead of 60 level 1, it's only 40. And instead of a 0.5 ratio, it's only a 0.3 ratio. Um, Overall, this is going to be pretty harsh for Soraka support as well as Soraka solo lane. Like, all these changes are geared to making sure Soraka solo lane doesn't exist. And I think they do a decent job at that. But the nerfs are definitely going to hit support Soraka a lot. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Riot hotfix Soraka on this patch and give her a little bit something more than what's happening here. But anyway, they're also removing the heal duration. It used to be 5 seconds, now it's 2.5 on the Q when you hit an enemy. This is kind of big unless they're adding like a second buff. Because on Soraka, what you want to do is you want to Q somebody, and then you have 5 seconds to use your heal on an ally, where you will be able to give them the rejuvenation buff. And getting this off twice in a team fight is really big because a lot of Soraka's healing isn't in the actual W, it's in the like overtime healing that you get from giving your rejuvenation buff to your ally. And I feel like that was like really big for Soraka. And the reason that she was even strong to begin with was because of that. So now I wouldn't be too surprised if people just started hard maxing W because it's just how weak the Q is. I think overall Soraka is going to be an extremely weak champion next patch. As well as they're just increasing the mana cost an insane amount on a Q. 20 at every single level just seems ridiculous, as well as making the movement speed that you get from landing the Q like marginal. It's 5% at rank 1 reduced, and then 15% at rank 5. So it just feels like her Q is just going to be useless. The champ's probably just going to be useless in my opinion. They are compensating all of this by making it so her W, if you have Star Call, will not cost the 10% max health. It will be changed based on what level your W is. So this again is making me think you just max W on the champion now, which does change things a little bit, but I don't know. I just don't see this being like overall healthy for Soraka because you don't really want to go with Themes anymore because your AP scalings are garbage and like you're not gonna have the damage to be able to proc your Athenes anyway because you're not gonna be putting that many points into Q early. So overall, I feel like this is gonna hurt Soraka support a lot, and maybe not the route that they should have gone to try to nerf Soraka solo lane. I think just changing the Q damage to minions would have been better, as well as doing some of these things, but like, oh well, nothing you can really do about it. They are giving her heal better healing as like scaling, so 20 more health at max rank, level 9, 20 health, really? Like, that's nothing for what they're doing to the champion. But you probably will just max W now. Silas is getting a very small increased damage to his Q. This is fine. I think Silas is not too weak of a champion right now. Probably like a B tier in some roles. Maybe, yeah, probably B tier. Maybe C tier, C plus, B minus. He's not super strong, but he's definitely a playable champion, so this will just push him a little bit more to being played. Not too bad. Udyr's not getting screwed over by Cloud Dragon anymore. His global cooldown between switching stance will be 5% if he gets a Cloud Drake buff. I'm sure some Udyr main out there is really happy about this. It doesn't affect me. I don't see Udyr in any of my games, and I don't think this will push him into the meta. So now we're going to talk about what Riot's trying to do here with jungle champions. So a bunch of champions are now, like, their abilities are doing special things to monsters, whether they're healing on it or doing extra damage. I feel like this isn't going to push a lot of these champions into jungling. It might force a smite mid meta again, or just as a jungler, I would hate these changes because you're probably maybe adding one champion to your jungle pool, but overall, your laners are going to feel a lot more entitled to your camps. Because I'm doing more damage to jungle camps, I'm taking less damage and I'm doing them quicker. So I don't know if mid laners will, or junglers will be able to farm their raptors anymore, if that'll just become a mid lane camp. Because I don't think any of these changes will actually push any of these champions to being a super common jungler. But it will make your solo laners want to just take your fucking camps all the time. So let's get into talking about what they're doing. So for Darius, they're making his passive do 120% damage to monsters. I guess that's nice for if you have a Darius in your team and you're like leashing, I guess. As well as his Q can now heal from large monsters. I think that this one is pretty big. I think Darius is probably the only one that might benefit to actually become a jungler off this. But overall, the heal from large monsters is just really insane for like jungle fights in general. This is a fairly big buff to Darius, to be honest, in my opinion. For like it not really being like an actual buff, it's just a nice quality of life thing. For Diana, they're making her passive do 150% to non-epic monsters, so jungle camps. She's going to be able to auto them faster, which is good for Diana Jungle. Diana Jungle saw some play in LCK, so this will help her clear speed by quite a bit, actually. And she might actually become a meta jungler off this. I don't see Garen becoming a meta jungle. His E now does 150% to non-epic monsters. It'll just help him farm Krugs easier, I guess. To Gnar, they are changing the max bonus damage to 300 at all ranks. This will help you do your bigger camps like Gromp, Blue, and Red easier, Scuttle Crab easier. Don't think this will make Gnar Jungle a thing. Although I did play a game with the Gnar Jungle the other day, and it looked terrible, so maybe this will help him out. Probably not. We'll see if it gets play. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Mordekaiser passive is doing a little bit more damage, rank 1 to rank 18, I guess. Nothing really too big on this. Talon can now wound all monsters for 120% damage of his normal passive. Again, probably just helping you clear chickens a little bit faster if you're yoinking them from your teammate. Not going to push in Jungle Talon to be a thing. Zed is getting a little bit buffed, 100% against monsters on his passive, as well as the maximum damage is getting the ceiling's a little bit higher. So it's not 120 anymore, it's 200, and then at level 17 it's not 360, it's 500. Just a small change. And then they go on to talk about the things that happened in 10.3 as a follow-up. They gave Akali a little bit. I don't know if you guys know this, sorry, but sometimes Riot will release mini patches within a patch as a hotfix because they don't feel like what they did to the champion is what they like. The outcome isn't what they wanted. So on Akali, they felt they nerfed her a little bit too hard. So they gave her a bit more damage on her Q, as well as her ult cooldown was a lot lower, and the execution damage was also increased in the physical damage portion of it. So that helped Akali a little bit because she did get really gutted in the last patch. Lucian had a bug fix, and then the Yuumi buff, what they did, they added a little bit more to max rank Yuumi Q and to putting points into it. So it felt a little bit better to put points into Yuumi Q because it was like 25 damage, as well as they increased the base heal, so you didn't need 400 AP for it to be a buff to the UBE from last patch. You only needed 200 HP, which is a lot, AP, which is a lot more like easy to get on Yuumi. It's not too hard to get 200 AP on Yuumi. So this made Yuumi a little bit better. Yuumi saw a lot of pro play actually recently, as well as a lot of competitive bans. I think Yuumi is overall a strong champion right now, for sure. But if you don't have a duo queue or somebody who knows how to play with Yuumi, then the champion just feels really bad. The good thing about Yuumi, especially in solo queue, is like if one person on your team is fed, you just attach to them and you're fed, which is kind of nice. But I don't know. It's really hard to play a champion and carry a game when you can't really control your champion. So I kind of have been staying away from Yuumi unless I'm playing with a duo queue or somebody I know who's going to pop off. But yeah, so they buffed Exhaust, which is interesting because Exhaust started to actually see more pro play. In LCK, there's a game where like Nautilus and Braum both took Exhaust, and both AD carries took TP, just because they knew there wasn't going to be kill pressure in the lane or something. And they're not doing a huge buff to it. They're making the duration go from 2.5 to 3 seconds, which is a little bit nicer. Because that's like, what, a 20% increase in duration or something like that. And I mean, it's nice for sure. I'm not sure that it'll change the Ignite meta, especially for solo queue. Having Ignite and just being able to kill someone's really good. Although this will probably buff the Enchanter into tank matchups, like Janna versus Nautilus or Janna versus Leona, Lulu versus these champions. I'm sure the Exhaust will make it a lot easier for them to not die so much. and just being like a little bit more incentivized to taking an exhaust is like nice. So they're doing a small actually a pretty big rework of Halo Blades in my opinion. So instead of having 2 seconds between the triple auto, like passive Halo Blades or whatever, it's 3 seconds, which is nice. You get a little bit more time in case you couldn't get all your damage off to begin with. As well as they're making the cooldown no longer 4 seconds out of combat, but 8 seconds while in combat. So this means while you're farming in lane, you can restack your Halo Blades. I think this is going to make the rune a lot more viable. Right now, the only champion that I knew took Halo Blades was like probably Rek'Sai in the jungle or Pyke mid. And I think this is going to make a lot more champions take it because it actually seems decent. Because right now, like Halo Blades versus Lethal Tempo for AD carries, it's like at level 3 or something like that, Lethal Tempo is already a better rune. So this is nice for Halo Blades for sure. The fact that you can get it now while in combat is the big buff in my opinion. The cooldown really doesn't matter because the time it takes to get out of combat technically, this is like really nice, right? So that's pretty cool. Maybe you'll start seeing more Halo Blades champions come into the meta again. Or just see like champions just start taking in. I wouldn't be too surprised if like maybe like Halo Blades Ezreal, Halo Blades Draven, a lot of AD carries might start taking this rune. And it wouldn't surprise me too much. Halo Blade Vayne. It synergizes a lot with AD carries, or maybe even some top laners might start taking it. It'll be interesting to see if people think it's better than like Conqueror or PTA, or Lethal Tempo, or just what their main keystone is right now for their champion. But I think it'll probably see a little bit more play. If not, I mean, good buff for Pyke, I guess. Good buff for Rek'Sai that they're going to be able to proc it now in combat. So all of the Legends runes, which is the second or third row, I guess technically, on the Triumph tree, is taking a little bit too long to, or like will take longer to scale. It's no longer 20 minion kills for a stack; it's 25. They're doing this mostly for Bloodline, I want to say, because Bloodline's really strong right now for AD carry, especially if you're stacking Doran's blades. But yeah, not too bad. Okay, so now we have a perfect timing change, which is the stopwatch rune that you get. So first of all, they're making stopwatch go from 600 gold to 650 gold, which is a fair buff. I think stopwatch is probably single-handedly one of the strongest items in the game. No item can change a team fight as much as stopwatch can. But what they're doing to the perfect timing rune is instead of it being a flat 10-minute, it's now kind of like magical footwear, where if you get a takedown, it reduces the cooldown by 2 minutes. I think this is kind of actually a bad change in my opinion. I'd rather just see them keep it at 10 or something and just do the other change that they're doing. But because a lot of time in solo queue, stopwatch is going to be up a lot sooner now. It's not going to take 10 minutes or 14 minutes because 2 takedowns and you're already at 10 minutes. And I feel like in solo queue, there's a lot more than 10 or 2 takedowns that you're going to be a part of. That's kind of like I mean, maybe they don't want it to be like that, and they want like, I don't know. To me, this just doesn't make sense. As well as now, instead of it being a flat 10-minute, that you can just keep track of the cooldown, press tab, see if somebody has it before a dive or something like that. You have to do a little bit of math in your head, like, oh, they have 1 kill and 4 assists. Well, I guess they have stopwatch up, you know? Like, you can even get stopwatches so early in the game. If you invade level 1 and get 5 kills or 5 takedowns, your stopwatch is up at 4 minutes. So that's just like kind of fucking troll to me, but like whatever, right? If you think this is a way to go, I'm assuming takedowns is assists, right? Like 90% sure. But just harder to track. Overall, I don't think this is a very good change to the rune. I think that this is fine. A lot of people didn't know this. There's a couple of things that people don't know that runes do in the inspiration tree. Like people didn't know for the longest time that biscuits increase your max mana cap. Even if you sell it, it increases your max mana cap by like 40 or 30 or something like that. Um, so for perfect timing, they're removing the passive that no longer additionally reduces the cost of Guardian's Angel, Gargoyle's Stormplate, and Zhonya's Hourglass by 15. Or sorry, not the cost, the cooldown. This was like a nice quality of life thing in taking perfect timing. I don't think anybody took perfect timing simply for this. This is just kind of like an added benefit, especially for things like GA, which is on a fairly long cooldown to begin with. in Gargoyle Stormplate. This will be a nice little nerf to the Gargoyle Stormplate supports like Nautilus and Leona. I still think that they need to nerf the item or nerf Aftershock or something because Leona and Nautilus, like first item Gargoyle Stoneplate is still just tearing it. That is so broken compared to everything else. Especially since they're nerfing some of the better like scaling supports like Soraka and Sona into these champions that like have very losing lanes but outscaled them. Maybe they're even stronger now, which kind of not too thrilled to see, but like whatever, Riot can do what they want to do, I guess. Moving on, we have a phase rush change. Maximum time between attacks is now 4 seconds. Nice little quality of life. The movement speed is increased for melee champions, but the same on ranged champions. So you're getting 5% more on the base for melee champions, as well as 10% more on the higher end. Which is nice. Not too many people are taking phase rush. Not too bad. Oh, this is actually really nice, by the way. So moving on, we have a prototype Omnistone change. Because they realized that it's really hard to proc press the attack in Conqueror as the first rune. And so many times when I would play Omnistone Bard, I'd get press the attack in Conqueror as my first rune, and I'd be like, oh, guess I can't play the game because there's no way I'm procking press the attack or Conqueror as Bard in the first 2 minutes of lane. So this is a little bit nice for sure. Maybe Omnistone Bard will see some more play. Not really too many champions are taking Omnistone. The only ones that I've seen take it are Jace, Bard, and Ezreal. And maybe with the Jace buffs as well as the prototype Omnistone buffs, it'll make Jace a little bit better. Although Jace likes press the attack and Jace likes Conqueror, so So they bug fixed Unflinching. I thought they were going to actually buff Unflinching. Now properly granting 10% slow resist per summoner spell on cooldown, which is nice. Kind of annoying to find out that this bug existed because I didn't know about it. But yeah, I mean, overall, some decent changes to the runes. I think the Legend rune is definitely a needed change. I think the Halo Blade and the Phase Rush and Prototype Omnistone changes are good. Not too thrilled about the stopwatch change, but I mean, it's nice to see the cooldown get taken off. So now they're making a little bit of a change to the Balmy Cinder chain items, so your Cinder Hulk and your Fire Cape. So what they're doing is once every 10 seconds, your next immobilizing ability deals 6 to 23 damage plus bonus health and releases a Fire Nova that also deals bonus damage around you. This is going to buff a lot of the Cinder Hulk junglers for sure. I mean, you're just getting free damage out of nowhere, right? So anytime you do that, it's going to like make things a little bit easier and a little bit stronger for certain champions. I mean, it's not an insane amount of damage or anything like that, but this is just like nice, right? So they're doing that for both. The Sunfire Cape has a little bit stronger scaling, as well as the Cinder Hulk has a little bit stronger scaling than the actual Balmy Cinder on the bonus health, as well as a little bit more base damage. 26 on the Sunfire Cape is actually quite a bit. Champions that are building Sunfire Cape right now in solo lane is probably just like Ornn, I want to say, though. Maybe a Malphite, maybe a Poppy. There are a couple of junglers that are building Cinderhulk right now, and maybe let's just start pushing Cinderhulk champions to be a little bit more meta, especially with the jungle champion changes. Let's see, who would build Cinderhulk? Maybe you're building Cinderhulk on Darius jungle if you are playing that, or maybe Diana. Probably not on Diana. But a little nice buff to the Balmy Cinder tree line, as well as to tanks in general. Not too bad, just going to help them get a little bit more damage when they CC somebody. So what is this? We're making an adjustment to how slow resistance stacks on champions to match tenacity stacking. Now slow resistance will stack multiplicatively instead of linearly. As an example of the change, 230% slow resistance will now reduce slowest by 51% rather than 60%. I mean, I think it's good to just keep things like standard or like have consistency in how like tenacity is working. So that's fine to me. Just login stuff, crash reporting, bug fixes. I don't think there's any bug fix that was too big. Fix the client would be fantastic. Oh, okay, so they did this bug fix. So I found this out yesterday. On Rakan and a bunch of other champions with Guardian, you could, for Rakan, if you had Guardian, if you used an E on your teammate, and then you targeted somebody like in top lane, you could proc Guardian on your top laner while being bot lane and kind of change the outcome of the game. which is kind of insane. But good that they saw that fast and changed it. We have some new skins coming out. Master Yi, Katarina, and Tryndamere. Surprised none of these champions got buffed since they're getting new skins. Chromas look nice. I like the Katarina skin. No, I don't think these are best in slot Tryndamere skins, but Katarina already has some really good skins to begin with. So yeah, overall, decent patch. Nothing really too big. I think the next big patch will come on 10.5 probably. I misinterpreted how far we were into LCS, but usually like 2 weeks before playoffs, they kind of do a big patch and really shake things up. So we'll see if they do that again this year. Definitely some good things happened to this patch with Sona and Soraka solo lane nerfs and Aphelios nerfs. You like to see those for sure. Although I would have liked to see some like more harsh changes to Nautilus, Leona, and just the tank meta supports. Because I feel like it's been so like we've been in tank meta for support for so long in high level of play, and it would have been really cool to see them change that. But I mean they didn't, which sucks. Anyway, I think that's basically everything I have to say about this patch. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, give me feedback, because yeah, I like hearing what you guys have to say about these videos. And hopefully this will help you guys in your 10-4 climbing adventures, and you will be able to understand the game better, I guess. See you guys until next time. Bye, lads.